Welcome to Monster Chats, presented by Monster VoIP, where we share the tools, methods, and best practices that business leaders use to build new connections, strengthen relationships, and impact sales in organizations of all shapes and sizes. If you have any questions that come up during today's episode, please text them to 424-378-6966. Please welcome the founder of Monster VoIP, your host, Colin Mitchell.
All right. On today's episode, we're going to be talking with Bruno Gervasi of Team Gervasi. Bruno and I are going to be talking about everything from fat loss to movement to pain relief and online coaching. I'm Colin Mitchell, the host of Monster Chats and the founder of Monster VoIP. Bruno is the only doctor that can help people, even inactive people, lose 20 pounds while also fixing their chronic pain. Bruno, thanks so much for coming on Monster Chats today.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. Super pumped to be here today.
Awesome. So tell us, before we dig in to the topics that I think people are going to really want to hear about, fat loss and movement and pain relief and how those are connected, and then also your kind of journey in online coaching. Just tell us your story, where you're from, where you got started, how you got into this. Just give us the whole deal.
So much. Where do I start? No. Okay. So me personally, I'm a doctor of physical therapy. That's my classical training. I went to school for way too long to not make enough money, pretty much. So that's kind of like the story on why I became an entrepreneur at the end of the day and where I want to go. But personally, with the people that I help, when I started working, getting busier, my social life got busier, my work life got busier. I was always in shape growing up. I was super active. I gained weight, didn't know how. I knew how to eat healthy. I knew how to exercise. I knew that, but I couldn't really put it all together. So I really broke it down when I went to school. It wasn't really nutrition based. I need to learn that stuff. So I learned it on my own and really had kind of my own body transformation. And once I kind of learned the facts and separated it from basically every type of, nonsense you see out there, all of the marketing tactics for fat loss or weight loss, I was like, wow, this is so simple. I need to show other people this. So that's always my goal with any client that I have, is to give them the true facts on what they need to focus on for fat loss. And then on top of that, being healthy too. So it's really important. This is a big distinction that I focus on. Losing weight and being healthy, they aren't the same thing. And once you kind of realize that and can break down, most people want to lose weight, let's be real, and it will help your health. Then you can really focus on just a few things and drive that going forward. So that's kind of my personal journey where I struggled, gained a lot of weight, and then I just wanted to help other people and turn it into my own business as I went through it.
So can we pull back the onion a little bit and just tell us, like, how much weight did you gain? Like, how hard was it to get it off? Like, how hard was it to find out the answers you were looking for?
Love it. Yeah. So, and this is great. So, I gained 30 pounds. I'm not very tall, 5'7". So I was 180, and, I was usually pretty comfortable around 155, 150, maybe 160. So 25, 30 pounds. And I did everything, that I used to do. I worked out, did P90X, tried to run, I always lifted weights and all those things, but I couldn't really put it together. And it's what pretty much everyone struggles with, and is the most important thing, is consistency with anything, right? And that's very true for weight loss. And I couldn't really figure it out. And I saw another online coach, and he was actually an old friend. Probably 5 years I hadn't even touched base with him, and he was kind of starting his own thing, and he taught me a lot of the fundamentals, kind of nutrition based and some exercise based too, on really what to focus on. And once I could implement those and learn kind of what online coaching was, and seeing the accountability piece, and having the guidance and the motivation to go, I was like, wow, this is really cool to be able to, give that feedback to people and, give them the results that I wanted at the end of the day. So yeah, that's kind of where I was and where I ended up. So,
and I think it's a really good topic right now, because there's probably a lot of people considering the current, pandemic situation, that are feeling low, turning to food, putting on some pounds, not being as active because some can't get out. They can no longer go to the gym. They don't know what to do to work out at home. Maybe they don't feel comfortable running outside, so there's a lot of things that they used to be able to do that they can't do now. And I think there's probably a lot of people, that are putting on some extra weight, right? So, what are some of the things you tried, because, there's these marketing things you talked about, these things that people spread to kind of just really steal people's money. Right. So what are some of the things you tried that you saw that just don't work? Like just like let's demystify some of these, myths that people spread out there.
My biggest one was just the thing that clicked for me, I guess, was, man, I really need to understand nutrition and learn about it, and not just have a meal plan or some quick fix, right? Like, and a lot of times like keto is kind of like, that's a really hot one. It has been the last probably 5 years. It's a really quick like fix. You're not really learning what you're doing. You're just trying to minimize, like eliminate a bunch of foods. The same thing kind of goes with intermittent fasting. Like, yes, there are benefits to it beyond just weight loss, but really it's kind of just like a quick, like, okay, boom, like I'll just do this and everything will be okay, right? As soon as I removed that from my mind and was like, okay, I need to learn really the fundamentals, and it's really not complicated, of fat loss, weight loss, and that way I could just carry it over for my whole life and really understand, okay, why does keto work? Why does intermittent fasting actually work? That's what really helped for me. So I always implement something just called flexible dieting with my clients. And it's pretty much what it sounds like. Have some, we kind of always know you can have some of the foods that you like, but you also have to, eat healthy most of the time. But how does that actually translate into, what your diet looks like day to day while still making really good progress with whatever goals that you have? So that's really personally what worked for me. And, accepting that, understanding I can't exercise, like I did when I was 18. And even if I did, like if the other stuff isn't in a good spot, then it's not going to get any results. So yeah, that's really kind of my journey there.
So it sounds like you're saying like finding a program, first learning what works, right? And then kind of finding something that's going to be more sustainable, right? So you talked about a lot of these quick fix things where they do work, you're going to get results, but it may get you somewhere, but then keeping the weight off might be more difficult because it's not a sustainable long-term solution.
100%. How many times have you heard it? I did an 8-week challenge. I lost 20 pounds. 4 weeks later, I'm back to where I started, right? And, this can layer into really building, we always hear about habits, right? Building those into them. And if you don't have them built and sustainable, then you're just going to fall back into what you used to do. And when you're doing what you used to do every day, then the results are going to fade away, the way that it goes. So yeah, that's 100% true. Being sustainable, something that you enjoy, is very important.
And is there anything to like certain things work differently for different people, different body types, different lifestyles? I mean, is there a one size fits all shoe here or no?
Great question. So my favorite line is, it's not that the diet doesn't work, it's that the person doesn't work. So that's really when you always hear, I need to find what works for me. I would really I stay away from like, I'm this certain body type, or I have X, Y, Z with my metabolism or my age. It's really what's going to fit into your lifestyle. So let's just start with a diet. What kind of foods you actually like? Okay. That's where your diet should go. If you want to, if you're looking at keto, but you don't like those foods that go there, typically they're higher in fat. If you're more, then it's not going to be a good idea, because you're going to be able to do it for a little bit. Sounds great in the beginning, then you're going to fall off track. And the same thing exercise wise. If if you're not someone that loves running, then, you don't have to run to lose weight. So that's kind of a really big piece there. There's not a one size fits all. Really finding everything's going to work. It's, what do you really enjoy and what do you feel like? And it's hard to do, because usually when you're 20 pounds overweight or 50 pounds, whatever, you want to lose it tomorrow. Right. And you can't see that 6 months in the future. So yeah, that's a really good point. There are far extremes, but I would say it's, maybe that top 2% where they really need to have something specific for their nutrition or something specific for their exercise. But it's probably not you who's ever listening or watching this. Like, honestly, if you can focus on some really structured, just simple steps, you're going to get the results that you want.
Now, do you ever recommend, intermittent fasting or keto to anybody to kind of get started, or if that fits their lifestyle? Yeah. Is that an option, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. definitely recommend. Everyone's going to be a little different.
Yeah. Like I personally do intermittent fasting, but I only do it Monday through Friday, and I don't go extreme. So I eat dinner very early. So to fast for 16 hours and just not eat breakfast till 9 o'clock the next morning, it works with my lifestyle and is very easy. And that works for me. I actually lost some weight in quarantine just from not eating out, just from only eating home cooked, good quality food all the time, 7 days a week. I actually dropped some weight myself. So yeah. So now let's go to let's move on to talk to me about. So you kind of had this aha moment where you put on some weight, you reach out to somebody who is a coach, and then that kind of was your kind of aha moment of like, hey, this is something, and then you wanted to share it with others. So talk to us about your journey of like starting your online coaching and going full-blown entrepreneur.
Yeah, definitely. So that's definitely where it started, is me going through the process that I see my clients are currently in, and just really struggling to, I always call myself the bullshit filter for my clients, right? I mean, we know this, you're getting information everywhere, emails, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. It's like, if you have a question, like, just ask me. I'm going to tell you really what matters for, everyone's a little different too, what their goal is. But a lot of times it's weight loss, and particularly fat loss. So that's kind of the big piece that I always wanted to focus on going forward. So I feel like I missed your question here. But yeah, my journey personally was, I was working full time, and I was an assistant director of a physical therapy clinic. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of at that spot like, okay, either I'm going to open up my own clinic and kind of go from there. And I'd been through the daily grind where I was like, man, like, I think everyone kind of sees this online opportunity and health and fitness and like just the positive. Okay, let's just backtrack. Obviously losing weight's awesome. Why do coaches actually, if they're actually really love what they do, it's because all of the other benefits of losing weight. Like when the person completely changes their life and just like goes from bouts of depression to feeling on top of the world. That's where I was. And when you can deliver that and see that you can do that for other people, that was really the driving force that wanted me to be able to do that for other people every day. I went from working, and then I was like, well, I'm going to go out on my own. I was doing my business and working full time, and then just slowly built up my clientele to when then I was just like, hey, I'm going to try this on my own. So it's been about a year that I've been just doing online coaching, and that's been my focus. There's always different things, everyone's doing something new, but I really try to that's my singular focus right now. I don't do much else outside of that, just to really drive it and make it as best as I can.
Awesome. So you're kind of doing it on the side and still working at first until it was, until you built up enough clients to kind of just go all in.
Yeah.
What was that like? Was it scary for you to go all in? Did you feel comfortable because you already had established some, customers or some clients rather? Tell us about that moment and kind of when the big, all in move and kind of what that was like.
That's a great question. So I was definitely like building up to where my income and revenue was pretty, like it was above what I was making working full time. So I felt pretty comfortable there. Uncomfortable wise, I went to school for 7 years for physical therapy. I worked in the clinic for 6 years, and I was just basically like, peace out. And I worked at a great company. If you're around Midwest, US, it's Team Rehab, physical therapy, awesome, like probably the best company, like they're amazing. And I walked away and I was like, I'm out. So definitely scary there. But I think like I always look at it like, I kind of wish I wasn't quite as comfortable as I was, because for a little while there, the first few months, I was like, oh, like this will be easy. And then I'm like, oh, this is a lot harder than I thought. You have to build. I think I just made a LinkedIn post for this, when you're working from home and you're an entrepreneur and people are finding this out, a lot of my clients are finding this out working from home. You have to build your structure. You don't have to go into the office at a certain time. So guess what? You're like, I'm going to stay up a little bit later. And then it just throws off everything. And it can really whirlwind bad. Yeah,
and that when you stay up late, maybe because you're binging on Netflix, as many are, right? And then you wake up late, your exercise routine is the first thing that gets skipped, right? So having that structure, having that discipline, and it all ties back to kind of how you're feeling in your mental health too, right? If you're putting on the weight and not doing your exercising, then you're not going to feel great, and it's going to be harder to be motivated to kind of just be your best self, and kind of the opposite if you are.
Yeah, 100%. That's where everything just overlaps 100% there. And I think right now with people struggling, the big piece is like, cliches, you hear them all the time. You have to start, and it sucks. Like waking up early, like that's what I did when I worked, and it was super easy because I was so used to it. And then I was like, well, I got my own schedule. I'll just work out whenever I want. And then just like you said, guess what? Boom, just skipped it. Wouldn't even do it. And that's what I do for a living. And it sucked getting back. Like the first week, I was like, I literally had to pay my other coach. I go, hey, I do not do a live workout in our group, like our Facebook group. I owe you $50. And I had to do that because I would just skip it. I had no boundaries. No,
that's great. I was just gonna ask you. You must have to have somebody that you're accountable to, because you live, teach, coach this, right? So you have a lot of people that rely on you. So you must have to. I was just gonna say you must have to have somebody that you have to stay accountable to, which is great.
That's it. That's like from where I started with my coach that helped me with fat loss, and this through business, building businesses and things, having that person a little above you that you can like lean on, or, you say, hey, I'm going to do this. And if you don't do it, you're really you feel like you let them down, is so important to get to that next level. That's a big piece with exercise, eat healthy, drink more water, sleep 8 hours. The recipe doesn't change. It's always going to be the same. The sooner that you can accept that and then have someone to lean on, when some days you're not going to want to do it. Mm-hmm. Everyone's like that. It's going to make that transition a lot easier.
So is the accountability piece really like the big, simple piece that a lot of people miss where they fall off?
That's a secret sauce, 100%. And accountability, always in my eyes, is like exactly what you said kind of there. Like someone that you're going to say, I'm going to do this. Mm-hmm. And if you don't, you really feel like you let them down. And some of my clients, like I will do either money, or I have one client right now, she needs to get to bed on time. Exactly the whole thing that we're talking about with, she's working from home. She's a teacher. Whole schedule's out of whack.
Yeah.
She hates being on camera. So I'm like, hey, you just got to shoot a live video for me in our Facebook group when you don't go to bed on time. No big deal. So that's kind of her leaning. So everyone kind of has their little piece that they don't want to do that you could kind of get your accountability for. So that is that piece, because the recipe, as soon as you accept that recipe, just for success for anything, it's never going to change. It's always the same, ingredients. You're going to get there a lot quicker.
Yeah. So just kind of, I know you've said it a lot here. So just kind of a few takeaways of some practical things either people should, consider not doing or stop doing, or start doing. What are kind of just some takeaways to, give them some things that they can kind of think about if they're kind of, sitting at home, put on some pounds and really ready to get started?
That's great. So so a couple practical things I would always start with is look at how much that you're eating. Okay. That always goes with intermittent fasting, right? You're cutting out windows of time. You're usually going to cut out how much you can eat. If you sit there and only eat for 8 hours, but you eat everything, you're not going to lose weight. Mm-hmm. So no matter what type of diet you have, that's kind of usually that first step. Now, everyone's a little bit different, but most of the time they don't really realize just how much they're eating. So paying attention to that is a really good step. Mm-hmm. The next thing that I always recommend, most of my clients are busy. They don't have time to work out for really long, hours on end, 7 days a week. You have to do resistance training. You have to target your whole body. So resistance training, anytime. So if we break down a diet, every diet, no matter which one you want to do, I don't care, you're going to be in a calorie deficit. So you're eating less calories than what your body's burning, right? So you're kind of shrinking your body. Mm-hmm. And you're going to lose weight. You're going to lose fat. You're going to lose muscle when you lose weight. So that's why resistance training is that piece that keeps your muscle mass. It's going to, or build it maybe a little bit. And that helps with your metabolism. And that's going to kind of change your body. I'm sure we've heard these people that lose a lot of weight and then they're just kind of like deflated people because they haven't really had that piece. So that's really the big one. Watch how much you're eating. Make sure you're getting resistance training in. And then the last piece is protein. We hear it over and over again, but that is combined with the resistance training can help you build muscle mass, keeps you a little bit fuller. And that's pretty much the big reasons why I recommend it. So those are pretty much the big three pieces I would do. And this is always a hard one because, sustainability is a big piece that I always focus on. But when someone's ready to make that change, they're super motivated, they're ready to go, try not to overdo it. And that's where a coach or having hey, I'm going to be in, my clients sign up 3 to 6 months. They know it's going to be some time. That way when that motivation fades away after a week or a month, we can kind of get them back on track and get those wheels. So you kind of know it's going to happen. So that's really how I would break it down for some advice there. Hopefully that wasn't too rambling.
No, that's awesome. So I think number one thing I heard you say is portions. Watch how much, regardless of what diet, type of food, keto, vegan, whatever, doesn't matter. Portions are a big part of it. And then also just that resistance training. So what are some practical resistance training that people can do that are stuck at home?
Love it. So resistance training, the best usually is going to be weight training right in the gym. Can't do it right now. No big deal. Doesn't give you an excuse not to do it. The next step is going to be resistance bands. So we've seen the bands that you can buy, usually $15, $20 for a whole set. That's going to be great. That'll mimic pretty much everything you can do in a gym. And then the last one is going to be body weight type training exercises that you normally see. Push-ups, planks, squats, things like that. So kind of having some structure built in, kind of like we talked about, doing your whole body with those things is going to be the best driving force. And that doesn't mean, that you shouldn't do cardio or go for a walk if you're stuck inside. Obviously, that's great. Usually that's not going to be a driving force for fat loss.
Okay, and then protein.
Yep.
Tons of protein.
High protein. You don't have to have protein. Usually, so the way I'll break down protein for my clients is, hey, how much are you getting in a day? And then we'll break it down. Okay, how many meals do you want to eat? And then you try to break it down for each meal. And it doesn't really matter if you go, usually low end is 2 meals, which is pretty low, up to maybe 5 to 6. And then that's kind of how you'll want to break that down. And, you can look at, obviously, whole foods are great, eating chicken, eating pork, eating, beef, things like that, fish. But that doesn't mean you can't have a protein shake in there or something like that. All it is a supplement to boost your protein. That's all a protein shake is. Not magic. You're going to look at your daily intake and it's just giving you a little boost there.
And then two other things you said too is making sure you're getting enough sleep, 8 hours of sleep, and plenty of water. How much water should people be drinking?
Good. Okay. So the easiest way is take whatever you weigh, cut it in half, and that's how many ounces of water you should probably drink. That's a really good and quick, easy way. Okay. People do different ways. They look at, how clear your urine is, how yellow it is, and all this stuff. I think if you weigh 200 pounds, 100 ounces is a really good kind of goal to shoot for, where you really can't overdo water unless you don't use the bathroom. But
all right, awesome. Hey, Bruno, thanks so much for coming on the show today. Appreciate your time. Welcome to the Monster Chats community. Before we let you go, please tell people where they can find you online, find out more about your services and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the best way to reach me is on LinkedIn. That's going to be the number one way. I'm on Facebook as well as Dr. Bruno Gervasi, Instagram, Dr. Bruno Gervasi, and on YouTube as well. But LinkedIn's obviously my best. Just drop me a message in there in the messenger and I'll get back to you. And right now I'm taking on clients, busy professionals that are looking to lose anywhere from 20 to 40 pounds that really want a structured nutrition plan that's actually has foods that they like we talked about. Not some crazy diet that you're never going to stick to because that's a waste of time for both of us. An exercise program that's going to fit into your schedule that is going to get you the results that you want. And then the structure and accountability is that magic piece along the way. And there's a lot of different ways that we do that. I have a weekly check-in with all my clients to make sure they're making the progress that they want. And then we also have a group on Facebook, which is all of my clients come together and you kind of get that community of everyone's depressed because they're in quarantine, and then we build each other up because sitting in there by yourself is absolutely the worst thing you can do. So yeah, that's exactly where you can reach me.
Nice. Yes. And we'll drop a link when we share the episode. And so that I love it because so they get it's a customized plan, right?
100%.
Their exercise and their food is custom. It's not some quick fix, one size fits all. And then there's the accountability and the coaching, and then the group, the community. It's amazing. It's great.
Yep. Exactly.
All right. Awesome. Thanks so much. If you're listening to the podcast, please subscribe, share with your friends, and we're listening. We want to hear your feedback. The show is all about you.
Thank you for tuning in for another episode of Monster Chats, presented by Monster VoIP, where we share the tools, methods, and best practices that business leaders use to build new connections, strengthen relationships, and impact sales in organizations of all shapes and sizes. If you have any questions from today's show and want to reach us directly, please text your question to 424-378-6966.